19 years ago, Jose Mourinho's Chelsea created a Premier League record that I don't think will ever be broken in real life. On the way to the club's first Premier League title in 50 years, and with Petr Cech in between the sticks, Jose's boys only conceded 15 goals in the 38-game Premier League season. In today's video, I dive into FM24 to attempt to beat that record whilst trying to sort out Chelsea in the process. Let me know down in that comment section if you think a team will ever beat this record in real life. Diving into the game for Season 1, and we are using a real-world database, so we'll have the current Chelsea squad, with players like Caicedo and Lavia joining later in the summer transfer window. In the 04-05 season, Jose's Chelsea used a 4-3-3 tactic, so I'll be doing the same, and we'll be using 𝘼𝙗𝙤𝙪 Thanos for this video. This is how it looks in game, and I'll be pinning Colwill, Mudryk and Jackson into these positions for the season to make sure that they get minutes. We don't have any European competition to contend with this season, so breaking back into the top 4 will be our key objective, but as things stand, we're predicted to finish in 6th. Now, this will come as no surprise, this video would not be a one-season wonder. We started the season well, but naturally conceded too many goals on a consistent basis to complete this challenge. Even though he was pinned in as a striker this season, Nicholas Jackson failed to impress, only scoring 15 Premier League goals, which in Football Manager is rookie numbers. We had a tough January, but settled back into a rhythm, putting lots of points on the board to see us finish second in the table, but we were still 15 points behind champions Manchester City. But looking at the expanded table, you can see the size of the task ahead, as in Season 1 we conceded 37 goals, 23 more than my target. So we will be playing Champions League football for season number 2, but in this season, we were actually pretty decent in the domestic cups as well. In the EFL Cup, we progressed through the first few rounds, dispatching QPR, Wrexham and then Brighton, before coming up against Manchester City in the quarter-finals. We were taught a lesson by City at the Etihad as they ran out comfortable 4-0 winners, with 4 different players getting on the score sheet, whilst Robert Sanchez had a stinker in goal for us. However, we fared a bit better in the FA Cup, knocking out Rochdale, Newcastle and then Nottingham Forest to make it to the quarter-final stage once again. This time we'd faced Tottenham at Stamford Bridge, and goals from Enzo Fernandez and Nicholas Jackson gave us a 2-0 lead at half-time, and Christopher Nkunku put the final nail in the coffin in the 90th minute with a 3rd goal. That result saw us progress to the semi-finals, and it would be another all-London affair as we would take on Arsenal at Wembley. This game was as dull as dishwater, and even went into extra time, where Ian Maatson opened the scoring before substitute Christopher Nkunku added a late brace to put us out of sight. So we moved into the FA Cup final, where we would face Hull City from the Championship, who had a pretty easy run to the final. As you'd expect, this tie was pretty one-sided, as Nkunku and Mudryk both bagged braces to see us win the game 5-0 and lift the FA Cup for a 9th time. This was a solid baseline to open this challenge, but I'm expecting things to get much better from here. Going into the summer window, I have just shy of £60 million in my transfer budget, but there is lots of deadwood that I want to shift and add some more to that transfer kitty. This summer we had 3 key outgoings as we generated a total of £111 million to boost that transfer budget. First, Lewis Hall swapped London for Tyneside as he joined Newcastle for £28 million, before Marc Cucurella left to join Real Madrid for £45 million. And to round off the trio, Romelu Lukaku returned from his loan from Roma and was shipped out immediately as he joined Al Nassr for £37 million. On the incoming side of things, we activated Marc Guéhi's relegation release clause of £44 million to bring him back to the club for a second spell. We then activated the release clause on Argentine wonderkid Valentin Barco from Boca Juniors, so he joined for £14 million. This was followed up by the signing of forward Evan Nilsson from FC Porto for £38 million, before we absolutely broke the bank to sign French international goalkeeper Mike Mignon from AC Milan for a whopping £153 million. Yeah, some of that was definitely instalments. So with these additions, the team is looking a bit better, but I still feel like there's work to be done. But I do like the fact that there are 3 English players in our back 4 now. Season 2 marks our return to the Champions League, and we will also be playing in the Community Shield as FA Cup winners from last season. We're predicted to finish in 5th for the 2nd season running, but this time our title odds have greatly decreased. We kicked off the season with the Community Shield, where we took on Manchester City and their new manager Antonio Conte. This was a close game, but Conor Gallagher settled the tie with his nice volley to see us win our 2nd piece of silverware for this save. The 2nd trophy of the season that is up for grabs is the EFL Cup, and we fired our way through to the semi-final stage, beating Millwall, Charlton and Sunderland in the process before we faced Spurs over 2 legs. We were away from home in the first leg, and Spurs dominated the game at the Tottenham Hotspur Stadium with goals from Ademola Lookman and Heung-min Son to give them a 2-0 lead to take into the 2nd leg. Back at the bridge, Conor Gallagher pulled a goal back for us, but on the stroke of half-time, Christian Romero restored Spurs' 2-goal lead with a powerful header that is how the tie ended and Tottenham progressed to the final. Now, I do have to say that they did lose that final to Manchester City because, you know, Spurs. Our defence of the FA Cup got off to a flyer, however, as we thumped Swindon Town, Rotherham and Southampton on our march to the quarter-finals, where we'd end up facing Arsenal. We dominated this game, but found Aaron Ramsdale difficult to beat until Noni Madueke found a way on the stroke of half-time to score the only goal of the game. In the semi-finals, we faced Liverpool at Wembley, and this was the game of set pieces, where Trevor Chalobah opened the scoring, only to see 𝘼𝙗𝙤𝙪 𝙈𝙚 pull Liverpool level in the 2nd half. The game went all the way to extra time, but we managed to find a 2nd breakthrough through Wesley Fofana to see us move into our 2nd successive FA Cup final. We got niced again in the final with another Championship side as we would take on Norwich. They did get promoted this season, so it would be more difficult than Hull. As you'd expect, we dominated the game, but it was a real breakout game for Noni Madueke as he rattled in 4 goals in the game, and we ran out 5-1 winners to lift the FA Cup for a 10th time. And in the Premier League, we were fantastic, winning our first 11 games in a row before suffering a shock 1-0 loss at home to Fulham. A large reason for our success this season was actually having Christopher Nkunku for the whole season. He managed to bag 26 goals and 19 assists in all competitions, playing in a number of different positions for us. In the 2nd half of the Premier League season, we continued to be successful, even hammering Liverpool 7-0 in the league, along with winning both legs against Manchester City. It will come as no surprise that with results like that, we got our hands on the Premier League title, even securing a 100-point season, only losing 2 games all season. But did we complete the challenge? Well, when you look at the expanded table, you can see that we sadly conceded 19 goals, which is remarkable, but I'm starting to understand the difficulty of this particular challenge. And finally, this season we returned to the Champions League, where we won every single game in the league phase, except for a spanking from Real Madrid in the Bernabeu to finish 3rd in the table and qualify for the round of 16. This threw up an all-English tie as we'd face Manchester United, and the first leg would be at Old Trafford. Marcus Rashford opened the scoring for United, but Christopher Nkunku pulled us level on the stroke of half-time. In the 2nd half, Rashford bagged yet another goal to see United take a slender lead into the 2nd leg. Back at the bridge, things were very different as Manchester United were terrible. We racked up the goals in the 2nd half with Chilwell, Nkunku, Sterling and Caicedo all getting on the score sheet to see us move forward with a 5-2 aggregate win. This saw us move into the quarter-finals, where we would face Dortmund and we'd have to travel to Germany first. We kicked off the game and seconds later had the ball in the back of the net as Enzo fired us into the lead before David Washington added a 2nd goal for us in the 2nd half. Englishman Jamie Bino Gittens pulled a goal back for Dortmund in injury time, but I felt confident bringing the tie back to London. Again in the home leg, we really turned it on as Conor Gallagher balled out, scoring a remarkable hat-trick to see us secure a 5-1 aggregate win and moving into the semi-finals. In the semis, we took on Atletico Madrid, but this time we were at home first, and despite dominating the game, we could only score 1 goal as Raheem Sterling fired past Oblak to give us the lead. On the road at the Metropolitano, Ben Chilwell fired us into a 2-goal lead on aggregate before Evan Nilsson put the game to bed in the 82nd minute. So we moved into the Champions League final and we took to the field to take on Real Madrid, and I only wanted to get owned back for the league phase defeat. Noni Madueke opened the scoring in the first half with a nice cushion header before Raheem Sterling extended the lead in the second half. Thibaut Courtois had a stinker against his former side, and he gave away the ball for the third, and Enzo made him pay, firing in from long range to see us lift the Champions League trophy for a second time in 5 seasons. So this was an unbelievable season, but the challenge will roll into season 3, and over the summer I have a transfer budget of just shy of £80 million, and I'm not really sure how we're going to spend it. In this summer I tried to balance the books a little, as 15 players departed the club, and we managed to pull in £179 million. The most expensive of these transfers was Raheem Sterling, who left us for Saudi Arabia, joining Al-Hilal for £99 million. We also moved Robert Sanchez on to AC Milan for £37 million, and Benoit Badiashile departed for Real Madrid for £34 million. Don't get me wrong, we did spend some cash in this window as we picked up Evan Ferguson from Brighton to be our main striker moving forward, and his talents cost us £95 million. We also had the arrival of Kendry Páez, who is a pre-arranged transfer, and he does look great, but he's not first team ready for us just yet, so he's been shipped out on loan to Real Betis. There is another transfer in the pipeline as we are trying to sign Aurélien Tchouameni from Real Madrid. He is awaiting a work permit for a £65 million transfer. Ferguson comes straight into our starting 11 for the season, and I think we are ready to hit the ground running. We've got lots on our plate this season as we add the UEFA Super Cup to the schedule, where we will take on last season's Europa League winners AC Milan. Even with all that we won last season, Manchester City continue to be the favourites for the Premier League, but I'll be looking to keep that trophy in our trophy cabinet. Before we talk about results, I need to tell you that we added Tchouameni to the team before the transfer window closed, but we also picked up Nicolas Gonzalez from Fiorentina for £75 million. Getting into the results, we opened the season with the Community Shield, where we dominated Liverpool at Wembley, with Evan Ferguson scoring a brace on his club debut to see us lift the trophy yet again. This was followed up by the UEFA Super Cup, where we took on AC Milan in Hamburg, and Romeo Lavia gave us the lead, but Yacine Adli pulled Milan level to send the game to extra time. Then in extra time, we took over, with Conor Gallagher scoring twice and Evan Ferguson adding another from the penalty spot to see us lift trophy number 2 of the season before the Premier League had even kicked off. We carried that success into the Premier League season, not even conceding a goal until game week 5, where we lost to Arsenal at the Emirates. Our season was going superbly, but you could still see that we were conceding too many goals to complete this challenge. We did run through to a second consecutive Premier League title, this time winning the league by 17 points. But when we expand the table, you can see that we conceded 10 more goals than last season, so we're still not done here yet. So with 3 trophies in the bag already, our attention would turn to the cup competitions this season. Starting off with the EFL Cup, which continues to elude us, as this season we crashed out in the 4th round, losing to Everton. But having won the last 2 FA Cups in this save, I really wanted to win it yet again. This season on the run, we dispatched Sunderland, Bristol City, Salford, Manchester City and Bournemouth all on the way to the final. This time we faced Aston Villa, who took the lead early through Buendia, but we clicked into gear and responded appropriately as Christopher Nkunku rattled in an impressive hat-trick to see us lift our 3rd FA Cup in a row. And finally, we attempted to retain the Champions League trophy, and in the league phase we picked up 17 points from our 8 fixtures to finish 5th place in the table and automatically qualify for the round of 16. This is where we'd face Real Sociedad, and we'd be on the road first, with Moises Caicedo opening the scoring for us, but Umar Sadiq pulled the Spanish side level. Back at Fortress Stamford Bridge, we turned it on to progress into the next round as Nico Gonzalez bagged a hat-trick in a 4-1 win on the night and a 5-2 aggregate win. We moved into the quarterfinals where we faced German juggernauts Bayern Munich, and this time we would be at home first. Nico Gonzalez continued his good goal-scoring run in this competition by opening the scoring before Wesley Fofana added a second, nodding home from a corner. In Germany, 𝘼𝙗𝙗𝙪 got us off to a flyer by bagging 2 goals inside the first 10 minutes to put us firmly in the driving seat, but Bayern did come roaring back with goals from Sané and Goretzka, but we cruised in the end to a 5-2 aggregate victory and we marched on into the semi-finals. This season, we would take on AC Milan and we were put on the back foot in Milan as we lost the first leg 1-0 thanks to a goal from Yacine Adli. However, back at Fortress Stamford Bridge, we took charge of the tie as Reece James pulled us level inside the first 60 seconds. Nico Gonzalez and Mykhailo Mudryk added a second and third respectively to see us make yet another Champions League final. And this year, it would be a repeat of the 2018-2019 Europa League final as we would take to the field against Arsenal. 𝘼𝙗𝙗𝙪 opened the scoring in Barcelona with a nice header before adding a second with his head in the second half. Arsenal grew into the game and managed to pull level quickly in the second half, with Gabriel Jesus scoring himself a nice brace. However, with 2 minutes of the 90 remaining, Trevor Chalobah played in Christopher Nkunku, who lashed the ball past Aaron Ramsdale to see us lift consecutive Champions League trophies. So Season 3 saw us lift 5 trophies, but we were still unable to complete this challenge. We've got over £100 million to spend on this team, and I think it's time to reinvest in the defence to make it rock solid for next season. As is tradition with this save, we added to our transfer budget this summer by selling 5 players for a total of £158 million. First up, Ben Chilwell went to join Raheem Sterling at Al-Hilal, joining them for £65 million. He was followed out the door as Wesley Fofana had his head turned by PSG and departed for an initial £50 million, and then another defender left as Axel Disasi joined Atletico Madrid for £29 million. And finally, Cole Palmer left the club having had limited game time for Saudi Arabia for another £12.25 million. That allowed me to get to spending, and we started off by replacing Chilwell with Theo Hernandez from AC Milan, with him signing for £175 million. We followed that one up quickly with the signing of Ansu Fati, who joined from Barcelona for £125 million. But I said I wanted to strengthen that defence, so we added Jean-Claire Todibo from Nice for £75 million, and Aymeric Laporte on a free transfer following his contract in Saudi coming to an end. So with these additions, this is how we're set up for the season, and we're surprisingly well balanced and ready to break the record this season. We're back in the same 6 competitions as last year, so let's see if we can complete a clean sweep. We open the season with the Community Shield as always, and we take on Manchester City in this game. And we open the season with yet another trophy, bagging a 2-0 win with goals from 𝘼𝙗𝙗𝙪 and our new gen from our youth intake, Adam Tobin. This is what Tobin looks like attribute-wise, and he's got some good first-team minutes this season, albeit mainly from the subs bench. Next was the UEFA Super Cup, where we battered Fiorentina for 120 minutes, but the game would be settled via penalties, and we flopped the shootout, with both Nkunku and Mudryk seeing their penalties saved by Elia Caprelli to see Fiorentina lift the trophy. In the domestic cup competitions, the EFL Cup continues to elude us as we were yet again dumped out in the 4th round, losing to Manchester United this season. However, our remarkable run in the FA Cup continued as we fired our way to a 4th consecutive final where we would face Liverpool. We repeatedly took the lead in this game, first of all through Levi Colwill and then 𝘼𝙗𝙗𝙪, but Mo Salah tried his best to keep Liverpool in the tie, but we did manage to cling on to a 3-2 lead and lift the FA Cup trophy yet again. In the Premier League, we continue to be exceptional, comfortably beating teams game day after game day on our way to a 3rd Premier League title in a row. We lost 2 games this season, but did we break the record? Well, the answer was no, yet again, and left me thinking if this challenge was even possible. This season we conceded 25 goals in the Prem, so again 10 more than we would need to even level the record. And finally, in the Champions League, we progressed through the league phase with 6 wins and 2 losses to our name to finish 4th and go straight into the round of 16. In this round, we'd faced German opposition in the shape of Wolfsburg, where we took the lead in the first leg in Germany through Ansu Fati. Back at the bridge, we added goals from Conor Gallagher and Evan Ferguson as we strolled into the quarter-finals without breaking a sweat. This would be a tougher test as we would face Liverpool and would kick off the tie at Anfield. Well, this was easier than I thought as we romped out to a 3-goal lead with Curtis Jones adding a consolation goal for Liverpool late on. In the second leg, we extended our lead as Jean-Claire Todibo rifled past Alisson to give us a 4-1 aggregate lead and effectively put the tie to bed, even with Cody Gakpo scoring for Liverpool in the second half. Up next was RB Leipzig in the semi-finals, and we were at home first and effectively put the tie to bed by hammering the German side 5-1 to take the pressure off in the away leg. The second leg was closer, but we were basically already through, but Evan Ferguson continued to add to his goal tally and save our blushes by making it 2-2, pulling us level on the night in the 94th minute. This set up a final against PSG, and it would be played in France, which I thought would put us at a big disadvantage, but we opened the scoring in the first half as Nico Gonzalez kept his cool in the box to fire past Donnarumma. PSG pushed for a leveller, but we were able to catch them on the counter in the final few minutes as they were throwing the kitchen sink at us as Evan Ferguson lashed home his 31st goal of the season to see us three-peat the Champions League in style. So it was 4 trophies this season, but still no closer to completing this challenge. I've got £143 million in the transfer kitty, but something needs to change for season 5. Going into season number 5, I had to take matters into my own hands, so I decided that I would actually sit here and play the games. Yes, I know, something that people rarely think I do. They think I'm just a simulation merchant, which is kind of fair. However, I still had to make some moves in the transfer market. On the outgoing side of things, we shifted on Datro Fofana, who joined Rennes for 20 million, Noni Madueke, who left to join Brentford for 16 million, Aymeric Laporte left the club to return to Saudi Arabia for 30 million, and an unhappy Enzo Fernandez left for Real Madrid for 35 million. And we only signed one player in this summer, and it was a big boy. We spent £250 million to bring this man, Jude Bellingham, back to England from Real Madrid. So with Jude in the team, this is how we are set up for the season, and we are ready to take the league by storm. And I will say that I'll be using GYR's Tiki-Taka tactic to help me close out games because it's designed to retain possession. So no silly late goals against us coming this time around. We have lots of competitions on the schedule this season, but I will be prioritising the Premier League, and we are favourites to win it, with Bellingham making it into that Media Dream 11. Before we review the season, we had some transfer movement in January to balance the books. Valentin Barco departed to Bayern Munich for an initial £106 million, and Romeo Lavia left for Real Madrid for £53 million. On the incoming side of things, we picked up Luis Diaz, who was transfer listed at Liverpool for £54 million to replace the outgoing Barco, and we then cracked out the Wonder Kid finder for some squad players from Argentina. First, we secured Facundo Pozzello from Vélez for £6.25 million, and he was followed in by Aldo Dominguez from San Lorenzo for £13.75 million to act as less disgruntled squad members. And now, into the action. We opened the season with the Community Shield at Wembley, where we took the lead early as Theo Hernandez went on a decent solo run before firing past Emi Martinez. Jacob Ramsey pulled Villa level in the second half, but at the end of the game, Big Evan Ferguson leapt highest to head us into lifting our 4th consecutive Community Shield. Next was the UEFA Super Cup, where we would take on last season's Europa League winners Napoli. This game was much more straightforward as we dominated the game from start to finish, running out 4-0 winners to lift the trophy yet again. However, this season we did have a slight disappointment as we crashed out of the EFL Cup to Manchester United in the 4th round for a second season in a row. I was using cup competitions as a prime opportunity to rest our first team, and we suffered a 1-0 defeat to United at Old Trafford, with Hannibal getting the only goal of the game. In the FA Cup, we blasted our way through to the semi-finals whilst rotating the team, dispatching Stockport, Lincoln, Peterborough and Norwich before facing Liverpool at Wembley. Liverpool opened the scoring through Cody Gakpo, but we managed to battle back with 𝘼𝙗𝙤𝙪 leading the charge as we scored an impressive 4 goals inside 14 first half minutes to see us progress to the final. It would be a London derby in the final as we would take on Spurs, but our recent record in this competition couldn't be denied as we took them to the cleaners, with Christopher Nkunku scoring a brace on the way to us lifting a 5th FA Cup trophy in a row. In the Champions League, things went as you would expect, with us picking up enough victories to progress through the league phase with a comfortable 5th place finish, all while completely rotating our side. In the round of 16, we come up against French side Lens, and we were cruising in the first leg as Nkunku, Gonzalez and Pozzello all bagged to give us a nice lead to take back to the bridge. In the game at home, we repeated the 3-1 scoreline, this time with Colwill, Tobin and Diaz getting on the score sheet to see us move into the quarterfinals. This is where we come up against Real Madrid, and I was expecting a super tough game, but that didn't transpire as we dominated the 14-time champions to run out 5-0 winners in the first leg. At the Bernabeu, we rotated the side yet again, but still managed to pull out a result with Colwill and Ansu Fati getting on the score sheet on our way to a 7-1 aggregate win. In the semis, we face Spanish opposition yet again as we take on Barcelona, but this time we would be at Stamford Bridge first. Nico Gonzalez opened the scoring inside 10 minutes, and we continued to rain down on ter Stegen's goal, but finally made a second breakthrough late on as Ferguson and Diaz scored to give us a 3-0 lead, basically putting one foot into the final. At the Camp Nou, Barcelona left it late, but the goals started to come as Lamine Yamal opened the scoring in the 82nd minute before goals from Noah Darvic and Pedri sent Chelsea bums twitching and looking like the game was going to extra time. However, deep into injury time and with our only shot on target in the whole match, Jean-Claire Todibo met a Christopher Nkunku corner to send us to our 4th consecutive Champions League final. We took to the field to take on Juventus, but this was a dull game, with the deadlock finally being broken in extra time. Against the run of play, Dusan Vlahovic headed home from an Alex Valley cross, but less than 5 minutes later, Ansu Fati pulled us level with his fine strike. The game went to penalties where Big Mike was on hand to deny his international teammate Adrien Rabiot with the second penalty before winning us the trophy, getting a firm hand to Manuel Locatelli's penalty to see us lift the Champions League trophy yet again. But we are all here for that Premier League record. So let's see how we got on this season. We needed to concede less than 0.4 goals per game, and we got off to a fantastic start, winning every game until we faced Manchester City at the Etihad in the middle of December. Our season was defined at both ends of the pitch. At one end, 𝘼𝙗𝙤𝙪 was blasting in the goals, scooping the Premier League Golden Boot with 39 goals, and at the other end, Mike Maignan stood firm, keeping a whopping 29 Premier League clean sheets. We continued to dominate after the January transfer action, and with 3 games remaining, we'd only conceded 10 goals in 35 fixtures. However, we had a horrendous 3 games remaining, which happened to be Manchester City and Manchester United at home, and the trip to Anfield, where we had to concede 4 goals or less. First up was City at Stamford Bridge, where we neutralised them, restricting them to just 1 shot on target all game before Christopher Nkunku fired home a goal from the penalty spot to see us move 1 step closer. At Anfield, Liverpool, now managed by Julian Nagelsmann, offered very little, and 𝘼𝙗𝙤𝙪 took the game by the scruff of the neck, bagging a brace on our way to a 2-0 win and yet another clean sheet. So it all came down to this: Manchester United at home, and if we didn't get thumped, this challenge, probably the most difficult one that I've done so far, would be complete. We hammered United in this game with relentless pressure, and United eventually gave the ball away on the edge of their penalty area to Tchouaméni, who fed Nkunku, who curled the ball past Onana for the only goal of the game. Another clean sheet in the bag, along with an unbeaten season and only 10 goals conceded in a whole Premier League season. Eat your heart out, Jose. If you do want to get your hands on this save file, it is over on my Patreon right now. And if you do like these sorts of challenges, check out this video where I try and win the Champions League with Celtic.